Welcome to episode 1 of Sobermentum Today, where we discuss what I call middle-of-the-road drinking and how trying out an alcohol-free lifestyle might just help you show up as a better version of yourself for your life, your loved ones, and every endeavor that matters to you most. I am your host, Morgan Smith, and today's topic is 1 year sober, 17 things in my life that improved. But before we get started, I'd like to offer you a helpful tool for those of you who might be questioning your drinking, which can be a very healthy thing to do, by the way, or wondering whether you should consider cutting back. You can find out exactly where you stand on the alcohol drinker spectrum by clicking the link in the description box below and downloading the free info guide. Now, on to our topic. All right, so we're going to talk about the 17 ways my life improved when I quit drinking, and that was a little over a year ago now. And, obviously, if you're drinking mass quantities of alcohol, if you are in what most of us would call alcoholic territory, clearly you'll probably feel better, at least in the long term, if you extract alcohol from your life. But what about those of us that are in more what I call middle-of-the-road drinker territory? And what I mean by that term is you drink more than a social drinker, right? You're definitely above average, but you're not at alcoholic levels, okay? You haven't hit that threshold. Quite probably you haven't had any rock bottom experiences in your life, no catastrophic consequences to your drinking, and that was certainly the case for me. I was someone who, over the course of the years, just sort of slowly built up a larger, higher degree of tolerance, as really happens to all of us who drink on a regular basis. And what was originally just drinking on the weekends in my 20s and in my 30s slowly started to snowball into several days a week and eventually every day. And whether you drink every single day or just most days of the week or hit it really hard on the weekends, I think you can definitely move into this middle-of-the-road territory. And sometimes sort of the challenges or the drawbacks that it's creating in your life can be so subtle. And if you've been drinking for long enough and over a period of years and probably maybe even decades if you're in middle age like me, the problems can sort of become a little difficult to see or to notice. That's just sort of how life is, right? It's just it's part of the aging process, whatever. But it's only by taking a break for some extended period of time, and no, I'm not talking about just a 30-day, no drinking challenge or a dry January or what have you. I'm talking about an extended period, several months, where you can really see with sort of sharp focus exactly how things have improved. So when I was sort of wrestling with this myself and kind of trying to figure out what direction I wanted to go and how I wanted to intervene, I would watch different videos on YouTube and read different blog posts about people who had tried an extended period of sobriety. And I always drew inspiration from that. And, rather than sort of wallowing in the downsides and the unpleasantness of where I was with that habit and its unhealthiness that it had risen to, I found inspiration in focusing on the positives that could be had from removing this from my life, whether temporarily or indefinitely. So with that said, I'm going to share just 17 things that popped into my head this morning when I made this list, and perhaps these can also serve to be an inspiration to you if you're kind of in that same zone of wrestling with what should I do about my drinking. I'm not really happy with where it is, where it's come, where it's going. So with that said, let's get into it. First and foremost, without a doubt, better sleep. Okay, this is just one area where if you are a regular drinker, chronic drinker, avid drinker, above average drinker, whatever you want to call it, and obviously most of us drink in the evenings, or at least later in the day, this is one area where pretty much everyone I work with in my practice, every person that I've talked to who's gone through the same process, will always report this is one of the first sort of most obvious, no-brainer, low-hanging fruit benefits, and that's improved sleep quality, because alcohol absolutely diminishes your sleep quality. If you don't believe me, you probably do because you already know. But there's lots of studies out there that have demonstrated this fact, and it basically impairs the rapid eye movement portion of the sleep cycle, leaving us less rested and refreshed the next morning. And so sleep quality improvement was definitely noticeable. You have those mornings where maybe you hit it hard the night before and you want to try to sleep in because you know you're tired and you need sleep, but you can't because your body is just waking you up because it's dumping a bunch of excitatory neurotransmitters from a rebound effect from the alcohol's depressant effects. So essentially, improved sleep quality, big time. Second, more energy. Okay, so obviously this is a domino that followed the better sleep quality is improved energy levels. Just, I think, more of a spring in my step the next day, for sure, and sort of a willingness and a sort of being up for more than I would have otherwise when I was drinking regularly. Clearer mental focus, that's number 3. My ability to concentrate, to stay focused on a task or a project for an extended period of time, it just improved. Again, it was subtle. It wasn't just dramatic, but it was almost like this sort of very faint mental fog lifted, and I just had a greater ability to concentrate, sort of like I had when I was younger, before I was drinking as much as I was. All right, number 4, more productivity. So whether pertaining to work, fitness, chores, just house projects, whatever, my hobbies, I just was able to get more done, And one of the reasons I was able to get more done is number 5, which is time expanded. Now, when we're drinking regularly, we all know that there's a certain amount of time and energy that just goes down the water hole, if you will, of drinking, whether it's every evening or just most evenings or, across an entire weekend, what have you. It's a big time suck, and it can be something that it's not that you necessarily can't get anything done while you're drinking. It's just that we tend to be a little lazier. We tend to just not do things that are the most constructive or productive, whether that would be a hobby, whether that would be a craft, whether that would be some project in the yard or in the garage, or maybe even just reading a book. These kind of things were sort of all, not done to their fullest extent or just put on the back burner. So time expanded, which was directly related to my productivity. Next is number 6. Self-discipline became easier. Just my ability to get back on track with goals and setting goals and taking the necessary steps to consistently go after each of them. Again, with the increased mental focus and energy levels and sharpness, and my creativity improved. Just that ability to be self-disciplined and set a goal and achieve it was definitely improved, without question. 7, more confidence. There was a time where this particular issue in my life was sort of privately. I kind of kept it secret because, again, it wasn't such a large problem that everyone could see it. I was probably about a 4-drink-a-night guy most nights of the week. On the weekend, I might go 5 or 6. And for some people, that might not even seem like a lot. But for me, it was just a little more than my body could handle, especially as I got older, hit my 40s. The recovery ability just wasn't what it used to be. Yet my tolerance level was continuing to go up. So it wasn't a great place to be. But finally, after several years of researching this and sort of trial and error and starting and stopping, time off and going back to it, and then more time off and going back to it, finally getting my arms around this and conquering this challenge in my life, it's given me a lot of confidence to take on other things that once intimidated me. And for example, Never in a million years would I ever have started a YouTube channel, let alone a YouTube channel talking about a sensitive, private topic like this. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm a pretty private person. I've never even had any real social media footprint. Never had a Facebook page, Instagram, any of that. But nonetheless, this is what I've decided to devote myself to, both personally and professionally, and now as a sober coach and founder of Sobermentum. There's no other way to get the message out there than using the mediums available, and YouTube is obviously a big one, and a podcast platform, same. So with that said, again, just my confidence and my ability to say, hey, there's something out there that's daunting and seems insurmountable, let me go after it anyway, because I did this thing and it seemed hard, and there was at one point where I really wondered whether I'd ever get my arms around it, but I did. So I can do it again. It's a great feeling. Next, number 8, I know who I am, for better or for worse. And, I'm not sort of shifting in and out of this different personas of the buzzed version of myself and the sober version of myself, and then occasionally the hungover version of myself. It's not to say I don't have mood swings or shifts. Of course we all do. It's just part of being human. But it's just, I feel like I know who I am. I'm more in touch with the real authentic version of myself. And, when you're drinking regularly, you're sort of consistently shifting state of mind to that alcohol-influenced version of yourself versus, I call it the MUI, the me under the influence, right? So there's the real you, but then there's the you under the influence, or the me under the influence. And that person, even if it's just 1 or 2 drinks, trust me when I tell you this, if you don't believe me, if you don't think 1 or 2 drinks changes you at all, then take a couple weeks off and then go back to, the 1 or 2 drinks and just really pay attention. We don't often do this. We don't often pay attention to how drinking affects us. But if you really do, and you're really in tune with yourself, especially after a period of not drinking, because then you sort of had a little bit of a time removed, the effects are noticeable, and usually not in a great way, okay? If you're being totally brutally honest. All right, so I know who I am. I'm more comfortable with myself. And then the next one, number 9, is I can count on myself. When you drink often and to excess sometimes, we're probably all familiar with this, where, sometimes you maybe the next day cancel something that you were going to do, or you change your plans a little bit, or just, you were going to do something, even if it's not major, something that was scheduled with other people or whatever. But maybe if it's just I was going to go to the gym, or I was going to go for a run, or I was going to go for a bike ride, or I was going to go clean out the garage, or whatever activity you had planned, and you just scrap it because you're just feeling lousy, or, even if it's not a full-on hangover, you're just feeling kind of blah. So I can count on myself now. I know that, hey, if I say I'm going to do X or Y on Saturday or Sunday, unless something interferes, something unexpected, at least I know I won't be the cause. Generally speaking, I know that I can set my mind that, hey, I'm going to do this, and then I do it. So it's nice to be able to count on yourself. And that leads into the next one, which is number 10. And you can see there's a lot of similarities. They're all interrelated. But number 10, I am more mentally and emotionally stable. My ability to sort of forecast and know that the guy that I'm going to be Friday night is the same guy that I was Friday morning, and then Saturday morning, and then Saturday night, and Sunday morning and Sunday night. It's very comforting to know that, generally speaking, I'm going to be on a pretty even keel. Now, that also means that I'm not going to have as high of highs as I had when I was drinking. The roller coaster, it doesn't go as high, but it doesn't go as low on the rebound. So it's a little more consistent. That's not to say I don't have fun and enjoyment. And, of course I do. Life is great. I have lots of good times, but they're a little more like within the realm of natural fun levels, not artificially enhanced fun, and then also not artificially induced suffering afterwards. Number 11, I'm happier. I feel lighter. Life is easier. It's more predictable. I mean, again, you can see a lot of similarity thread throughout these. Life is a little less complicated than it was. I know I'm not going to have to endure feeling like crap on Monday morning, commuting to work and going to meetings and whatever, needing a nap by 11 a.m. No, those days are gone. And I therefore have fewer worries, a little bit less anxiety. I mean, I've never been a particularly anxious person, but as my drinking evolved, it definitely did manifest itself in some degree of anxiety, which is ironic because a lot of times we sort of seek a cure for our anxiety in the bottle, and we now understand through the mechanisms that it influences from a neurochemistry standpoint, it can actually create anxiety from a rebound from the depressant effects of alcohol, which we'll be talking about in other episodes, some of that interesting neuroscience behind alcohol's influence on our minds. Number 12 is authentic enjoyment of life. So when I laugh now, it's because something was truly funny. It's not because I'm laughing because I'm under the influence or whatever. Things seem funnier than they really are, or bad ideas seem like good ideas or whatever. When I laugh at something, it's because it's really funny. And by the way, it's a great feeling. If you think back to maybe when you were younger, and you may need to go all the way back to your childhood, depending on how early alcohol was introduced into your life, at least habitually. But just think back to some of the like really funny moments that you had in life, some really enjoyable moments, maybe with friends, just being silly and goofy, and like the gut busting belly laughs that you had that were just like the natural endorphins in your brain firing. That's a really great, it's a great experience. It's a great thing to be able to come back to that and experience that sort of natural, true enjoyment of experiences and activities and people and events without sort of this artificially tweaked, sort of spin on it. Okay, so next, moving on to number 13. Become more mentally and emotionally durable. And what I mean by that is, if I have a bad day or if something happens, whatever it might be, some disappointment or something that makes me upset or frustrated, running to the bottle to seek solace in the booze, it's just not on the menu anymore for me. I know that now, and it's not really even a temptation anymore. But what it sort of forces me to do is feel my feelings, process them in the moment, not run and hide from them. And it sort of allows me to just deal with things, package them up, and put them away and move on, instead of leaving them unresolved, which I think is what we can tend to do over time if we are, chronic drinkers. It can be easy to sweep problems under the rug by virtue of just sort of drowning yourself in, several glasses of your favorite adult beverage, and you never really deal with stuff, whatever it might be. So that's one area where I feel like I said, both mentally and emotionally more durable, because I can take stuff in stride, I deal with it, I put it behind me, I keep moving forward. There's not a ton of like built up, unresolved stuff under the rug that's not ever, getting dealt with. Number 14, my mind is quieter. Okay, there's less mental chatter in my mind. And for those of us who get to a point where we're drinking often and perhaps questioning our drinking, maybe making a conscious effort to limit our drinking, cut it back, to sort of force ourselves to moderate, There can be a lot of mental chatter that happens. Everything from do I have enough booze in the cabinet for tonight? Do I need to go to the store? What if I run out? And then there's the party, and then what are they going to have? Should I bring my own? Do they have enough? Can I drive afterwards? Should I get an Uber? Do I have a designated driver? And then there's the next morning. Did I say anything dumb? How many drinks did I have? Did anybody notice how many drinks I had? Like all this just chatter that happens, and you could probably think of a lot more examples than that if you've experienced this yourself. But my mind is a lot quieter now. That all of that drinking related sort of thinking and all those scripts running through my brain about the topic are gone. I mean, they're just gone, delete. And it's really wonderful to be able to divert my attention now to more constructive and gratifying activities and endeavors. Number 15, I have fewer regrets now. And it's not to say that I don't ever do anything I regret or that I don't make mistakes, obviously, right? We're all human. I'm flawed. But if I make a mistake now, if it's something that I said, something that I did, something that I forgot or forgot to do, whatever it is, I can own it now. I can own it 100%. If I need to apologize, I do it. If I need to make amends in some other manner, I do it. And then I move on. But the cool part is, if you're drinking a lot and you do something, whatever it is, make a mistake, say something stupid, embarrassing, whatever, and you have to go apologize, whatever. The challenge with that is, as long as alcohol remains a really big part of your life, there's nothing that says it's not going to happen again. So if you said something stupid, probably going to say something stupid again. If you did something hurtful to somebody else or reckless or irresponsible or you just made some choices you would not have otherwise made had you not been under the influence, well, if alcohol is still a part of your life, like even though you might try to make amends, apologize, whatever, and sort of like try to set it right, as long as booze is still occupying a central role, position in your life, there's nothing to say that's not going to happen again. And so the nice part is now, at least I know if I made a mistake, if I said something, whatever, did something, whatever, sort of like, okay, I can more than likely not do that again. The odds are better. The odds are better that I won't step into that, pile of dog excrement again, because I'll be sober and I'll hopefully remember what I did last time and not do it again. So fewer regrets. It's wonderful. Number 16. Okay, this one was a surprise. Some of these other ones may not be surprising. This one was a surprise for me. And that is that nobody really cared very much. When I stopped drinking, the people around me, the people that I was sort of the most hesitant to share this part of my life with, out of sort of a combination of shame and embarrassment and, just really a desire to not air my dirty laundry and just keep this to myself. I was worried that, people are going to think less of me, or people are going to think that I had a dreaded problem, or that I was an alcoholic. And, we sort of have this one-size-fits-all mindset about what a problem with alcohol looks like. And so there was all of those feelings of concern and worry on my part. For a long time, I didn't even want to talk to anybody about it. I didn't even want to talk to my wife about it. She's probably I think she's the first person I ever confided in about it, and then it slowly branched out from there in my immediate family when I was trying to take breaks. And obviously people notice if you're not drinking at all eventually. But I thought people, might have some thoughts on it or whatever. What I finally came to realize is nobody's really paying very much attention to whether you're drinking, how much you're drinking. The only people who really pay close attention are other boozers who want to make sure you're drinking to sort of justify their own excessive consumption. But anyway, that was one that surprised me, because nobody cared very much. And it was really kind of cool because I was like, I guess it's not really that much of a big deal. So that was kind of cool. Last but not least, number 17 is saved a fair bit of money, which is kind of nice. This is one area where, while I was in the midst of my drinking, I never really thought about it that much, how much I was spending on alcohol. But if you are an avid drinker, if you've never taken the time to crunch the numbers on your monthly and annual booze budget, it can be quite eye-opening. I would definitely recommend it if you're someone who drinks often, because you might be surprised, and you figure that number on a monthly basis times 12, what you're spending per year, multiply that by 10. That's a decade worth of drinking right there, and it's going to be thousands of dollars. If you're drinking regularly like I was, I drank at home most of the time and bought a lot of my booze at, big box discount stores. So Costco, Sam's Club, whatever. So, I wasn't spending as much as I could have. People who drink out at bars and pubs a lot or out at restaurants a lot, yours is going to be, your booze spend is going to be quite a bit even higher than mine. But the point is, whatever that number is, when you take a break for whatever period of time you do, or if you make it, indefinite, that's just extra money in your pocket that you can put towards something else. Save for a really awesome vacation, or I don't know, get yourself a deluxe gym membership, go get yourself a couple massages every month, whatever. The point is, you're not pouring that money down that drain, effectively, of your drinking habit. And I'm very glad. I'm very glad. It's just one sort of extra benefit. Even if that wasn't in the mix, the other 16 make it more than worth it. But that's just a nice cherry on top. That's why I put it at the last. So, in a nutshell, I feel like I was probably living at about 80% of my capacity as a human being, mentally, emotionally, physically. And now, with the alcohol behind me and living a sober lifestyle, which I never thought I would do. I'm the last person in the world I ever thought I would be living like this. It always seemed like it would be sort of weird or boring, but lo and behold, I have to honestly admit that I really like it. It's just, everything's easier. And am I operating at 100% every single day? Well, I don't know. Who's really operating at 100% ever? I mean, there's still days when you may be a little more energy or a little less energy. You may have, some days are more challenging than others. Some days are easier and happier than others. But so am I at 100%? I don't know. But if I'm at 96, 97, 95, that's all way better than 80. And so if you say it a different way, it's sort of like my drinking habit, as it was sort of like a slow leak, right? Like a leak at the bottom of the bucket of my life that was draining out 15, 20% of my overall capacity to be a better version of myself. And now that hole has been plugged, I stand a lot better chance of achieving the goals and dreams and aspirations that I have for myself, of building the kind of legacy that I want to leave someday. And not that I'm looking to check out anytime soon, far from it. I'm 47. No plans in sight for that. But once you get to middle age, it does start to occur to you, what am I building here? And is it something that I'm going to be proud of? You know what? I'm going to throw in number 18 for you. I'm going to give you a bonus, even though I said 17, because it just popped into my head. Number 18 is, I feel like I'm setting a better example for my kids and all the other young people in my life, my nieces, my nephews, just anyone else in the circle of influence that I have who are young people who have not yet taken up the habit of drinking, or maybe are just starting to and haven't really formed any sort of a routine around their drinking. I feel much better about the role model that I am providing to them. And I do think that it's great for them to be able to see that there's at least some people who voluntarily choose to not include alcohol in their life. Because Lord knows, a lot of the people, if not most, that they're going to witness and look up to will be drinkers, even if they're light drinkers. So I want them to see that this is a perfectly respectable, honorable choice, and that you can have just as much fun and you're really not really sacrificing anything. But I also feel like someday when I'm old and gray, if I'm, Lord willing, lucky enough to get that far into life, I want to be able to look at my kids and my grandkids and know that, at least with respect to that one issue, hopefully many others, but that I gave a good example in that department. So yeah, it's not to say that life is perfect every day now. It's not all tulips and rainbows. Life still has its challenges, but everything is easier to deal with now, I find. And so with that said, if you consider taking an extended break from drinking yourself, I think, comfortably speaking, these are the types of benefits that you can expect to see. Not all right away. If you do decide to take a break from your drinking and you're drinking regularly, the first couple of weeks can be a little, I'm not talking about necessarily hardcore withdrawal symptoms unless you're just drinking a ton. But if you're just sort of a, like I call, middle of the road drinker, then you might feel a little weird. You might have some insomnia. You might have some blah feelings because, your the neurochemistry in your brain, whether you are aware of it or not, has been affected, and it has adjusted itself to the repeated intake of ethanol, which is the basic element in alcohol. And so as your body, or as your brain recalibrates rather, it can be a little weird in the first couple weeks, but you'll get there. So if you have experimented with your own break from drinking, whether short-term or long-term, what I call a sober vacation, which I'm still on my sober vacation and no plans to go back anytime soon, probably ever. But what I like to do is, hey, leave a comment below and let me know, were any of these, now 18, in your experience as well? Are there others that I left out, things that, benefits that you experienced with your time off? Leave a comment below and let me know. Love to hear from you. All right, well, that's it for episode 1 of Sobermentum today. And in case you're wondering, Sobermentum is short for sober momentum, which is what you need to create if you want to break away from your drinking habit. That said, we'll catch you next time on Sobermentum today.